Apparently there's a word for what happened to me the other day. Glazing. As in, your AA is glazing you, bro. It was Collins Dictionary's Word of the Year shortlist. There were memes. Sam Altman apologized for it. OpenAI rolled back an entire model update because of it. And I'd never heard of the term. Not once. Because I wasn't watching memes about sycophantic AI. I was being sycophanted by AI. I'm going back and forth with Claude. One of the most intelligent AI systems ever built. I'm trying to work out how to pitch something to a client, and I've got 4 options. Option A, Claude thinks it's great. Option B, also great. Option C, really strong actually. And I'm sitting there feeling like some kind of strategic sales genius until something in my gut goes, hang on. Because at least 2 of those options were terrible. I knew they were terrible when I typed them, so I tested it. I suggested we just write, AI moves fast, you need us around, in big letters on a slide, and call it a day. And Claude told me that was refreshingly direct and would cut through the noise. And that's when I realized I'd never heard the word glazing before, but I'd been absolutely drowning in it. So stick around, my friends, because I figured out why it was happening and I built something that fixed it. And I'll share it with you for free. I'm Hamish. I run an AI consultancy called Agent Flow, where we help businesses figure out where AI actually fits and how to make it work in their business. So this isn't a theoretical problem for me. This is my Tuesday. And here's the thing. I'd wasted half a day building a pitch completely around the wrong framing entirely. Not because I was being lazy. I'd put proper thought into those options. But because the AI kept telling me they were great and I kept believing it. And if I'd walked into that meeting with those slides, it could have cost me the client, no doubt about it. That's thousands of pounds gone because an AI was too polite to tell me that what I was thinking was wrong. But what really got to me was this. I know how smart this thing is. I've seen the benchmarks. I've seen Claude be genuinely, properly brilliant. The kind of brilliant where it makes a connection you'd never have made yourself. And you sit there thinking, how did it get there? So why is it sitting there telling me my worst ideas are great? So I went looking for why. And the answer is, well, it's us, sort of. It's complicated, but also not that complicated. The way these models get trained, and I'll keep this brief because this isn't a lecture about machine learning, is through something called reinforcement learning from human feedback, or as we shall now refer to it, RLHF. What that means in practice is a bunch of human raters look at the AI's responses and score them. Thumbs up, thumbs down. And the responses that get the most thumbs up are the ones that the model learns to produce more of. And here's the thing. What do humans consistently rate as good responses? The ones that agree with them. Research from Anthropic, the company that makes Claude, showed that matching the user's views is one of the strongest predictors of what humans rate as a quality response. Not accuracy, not insight, agreement. So the model learns agreeing feels good to humans. Humans reward agreement, therefore agree. You can get the logic. It's not just the AI, because here's the bit nobody really wants to talk about. You, me, all of us humans, we're doing the same thing from the other side. We're neurologically wired to enjoy being agreed with. When something intelligent validates your thinking, it feels good, man, doesn't it? Actually good. There's a dopamine response that's associated with that. And the more articulate and well-reasoned the agreement is, the better it feels. And the harder it is to spot that it's just mirroring you back. So you've got 2 systems, one trained to agree, one wired to enjoy the agreement. And they meet in the middle and they reinforce each other. And the whole thing just spirals gently, pleasantly, euphorically, without you really noticing. And here's the line I keep coming back to. Neither side is broken. The AI isn't malfunctioning and you're not being stupid. both of you, the AI and you and me, the humans, we're doing exactly what we were designed to do. It's just not helpful. And the smarter the model gets, the more capable, the more articulate, the more context aware, the worse this problem actually becomes. Because a dumb AI agreeing with you is annoying, but obvious. A brilliant AI agreeing with you, that's dangerous, because the agreement is so well reasoned, so beautifully articulated, so full of supporting evidence and thoughtful caveats that you genuinely cannot tell whether it's agreeing with you because you're right or because it's being trained to make you feel right. And there's one more thing the research shows that properly scared me. Once sycophantic behavior kicks in during a conversation with an AI, it persists about 78% of the time for the rest of that conversation. So basically, once you've drifted into that pattern, once you've started going, I think this, and in my view that, and the AI has started matching your energy, 4 out of 5 of its subsequent responses are compromised. Sycophancy is kicking in, my friend. And you probably won't notice, because by that point, you're both just vibing, agreeing with each other, feeling productive, getting absolutely nowhere useful. Which is why when I went back and suggested we just write AI moves fast, you need us around on a slide in big capital letters, Claude happily told me it was refreshingly direct. In a fresh conversation, it probably wouldn't have agreed with that. It's too smart for that, and Claude is really good at pushing back, normally. But we were 20 exchanges deep, maybe even more, into a pattern of mutual agreement. The sycophancy had set in. The best thing I could have done at that point was close the chat and start again. But I didn't know that yet. So I went looking for a fix, and I found, honestly, not very much that felt particularly adequate. The advice out there is mostly prompting tics. Things like, tell it to play devil's advocate, ask it to list the reasons you might be wrong, start a fresh conversation. And look, those things work in theory if you remember to do them. If you notice that you've drifted into sycophancy before it's too late. If you have the discipline to interrupt a conversation that feels like it's going really well and say, whoa, dude, actually, stop glazing me, bro. But the thing is, you're human. And humans forget. Humans don't notice when they've drifted into this sycophantic glaze. And by the time you think, this has all been a bit too easy, you're already anchored. Anchored, not... The AI has agreed with your framing. You've built on that framing. It's agreed with the thing you built. And now you're 15, 20 exchanges deep into a conversation where the foundation was wonky and neither of you flagged it. Better prompting is the watch your dinner more carefully so it doesn't burn solution. Technically correct, practically bloody useless. What you actually need is a smoke alarm. So I built one. I built what I'm calling a critical friend skill for Claude. Not a prompt per se, not, hey Claude, be more honest with me. Something structural, and I tested it immediately. I went back to the original conversation, the ABCD client options that Claude had been telling me were all brilliant, and I invoked it. And it didn't give me option E, it told me I was asking the wrong question entirely. I've been going back and forth for hours on how to make this argument to a client, 4 different ways to frame it, 4 different angles on why they should work with us long term rather than as a one-off engagement. And the critical friend looked at the whole conversation and said, dude, the reason none of these are landing is because you're starting from the wrong place. Stop trying to find the cleverest way to make the argument. Restructure the narrative so the argument makes itself. And it was completely obviously right. But I was so deep in it, as I said, I couldn't see it, which is basically the whole reason agencies bring fresh eyes into a pitch. Experienced people, well, they can lose themselves in their own thinking all the time. That's not new. What's new is that I had something sitting right there that could have given me fresh eyes at any point. And instead, it just kept telling me my thinking was great. So how does my skill work? Because this isn't just a clever prompt. Like I said, it's a structured protocol based on actual peer-reviewed research into how sycophancy operates mechanically inside these models. The biggest thing, and the research says this matters the most, is explicit rejection permission, which essentially means you have to give the AI permission to tell you you're wrong. That sounds ridiculous. Why would it need permission? But here's the thing, the training is so deep, the instinct. Yeah, I'm going to go there. I'm going to say AI has this instinct to agree is so strong that you have to actively override it. In one study, giving explicit rejection permission meant that the model went from agreeing with bad reasoning almost every time to pushing back 94% of the time. The other things it does are subtler, but just as important. It anchors itself in what it actually knows before looking at what you're saying. So it's facts first, your framing second. It reframes your concern in the third person. So when you invoke the critical friend skill, you say, I need you to act as a critical friend because. So you're giving it something to think about, and it reframes the concern that you give it in the third person, which breaks the first person sycophancy trigger. Evidence first, conclusion second. No jumping to great point because I want to make you happy, because it's no longer making me happy. Do you see what I mean? And then it delivers a verdict, right? It says you're either right, partly right, wrong, or right but not the priority, something like that. It then says here's why. It then says here's my confidence level, and here's what I'd actually worry about if I was you. It's direct. There's none of this throat clearing politeness. Now I built this for Claude because that's what I use, but the principles work across all of the AIs. You could turn this into a custom gem in Gemini or put it in a SharePoint doc and reference it in Copilot. The research behind it isn't model specific. It's about how all these models were trained. Now, one thing I want to be really honest about is that there's a danger and a risk associated with this, because you could start running everything you do through this. Every conversation with AI, every decision, just hit the critical friend button as a matter of routine. But if you do that, you'll atrophy the very instinct that makes this work. Your gut is what tells you when to press the critical friend skill button. If you outsource that judgment, you've just swapped one kind of intellectual laziness for another. It's a nuclear option, so please treat it like one, because I don't want you atrophying your brain. The balancing act is difficult, and the more you play with it, the more you'll get a sense of when to invoke the critical friend. So look, I spent weeks being glazed by one of the most intelligent systems on the planet, and I didn't notice. Not because I'm careless and not because the AI is broken, but because both of us were doing what we were designed to do. The AI was trained to please me. I was wired to love it. And together we were going round and round in very articulate, very convincing, completely useless circles. The fix wasn't better prompting. That can help. It wasn't more discipline per se. It was building something structural, something with permission to throw away everything we had agreed on and tell me I was solving the wrong problem. And if you're using AI seriously for real work and real decisions and real thinking, real creativity, real problem solving, you'll probably need something like this too. So look, if you want the critical friend skill, the actual instructions ready to paste into Claude, there's a link in the description. It's free. It'll take you to my website. You need to download it. I'll figure out how to do that. So I hope it's there by the time you see this video. And if you've been glazed by AI and you didn't notice until it was too late, you're not alone. Drop your story in the comments. And if this shifted how you think about working with AI, subscribe to the channel, because this is what I make videos about. Thanks very much for watching. Have a great day, and hey, and come and chat to me at Agent Flow. We figure out how to help businesses use AI to be more productive and to grow.